and why that's important for Michiganders.
Great. So, as Ajamu mentioned, the economy of Michigan has been hit especially hard by the trade deals, by NAFTA, that essentially exported good jobs and put downward pressure on wages. Saw so many factories closed after NAFTA. Saw the balance of trade, go south more than ever. It's really important that we bring back jobs and good jobs and productive jobs in the real economy as opposed to the financialized economy which these trade deals have pushed us towards. So the Green New Deal is essentially an antidote. It's an anti-NAFTA, you could say. It's an anti-TPP. It creates jobs here in America. It does so essentially by declaring both an economic emergency as well as a climate emergency. And we say it is an ongoing economic emergency because the recovery has largely been limited to the top. The jobs that have come back are mostly low-wage, part-time, temporary, insecure jobs. Average wages for workers right now are just barely above the poverty level. So we need to put real jobs on the table that support working families. The Green New Deal creates an emergency jobs program to create approximately 20 million jobs that will also address the emergency of climate change, which is an emergency. As we've seen with the fires up and down the West Coast, the flooding in Louisiana, every month now sets a new world record for heat, and the science is now telling us, the latest studies say that we could see as much as a 9-foot sea level rise as soon as 2050. This is both studies by Jim Hansen, the foremost climate scientist, as well as a study described by NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They will be putting out those studies in a series of reports over the course of the next 1 to 2 years. They just received this data, which they called the Oh My God report, because a 9-foot sea level rise is not something that civilization can sustain. This essentially wipes out coastal population centers around the United States and around the world, including the island of Manhattan, the state of Florida, the country of Bangladesh, the Gulf Coast, etc. So this is not something we can wait for. We need to move urgently on an emergency basis. So that is why we call for a Green New Deal type program like the New Deal that helped get us out of the Great Depression. It would focus particularly jobs on clean renewable energy, that is on wind, water, and sun, on the efficiency devices, on public transportation, and also on a healthy food system like Detroit is already leading the way towards, as well as ecosystem restoration, which is critical if we are to have water systems that we need, sewer systems, and so on. And it not only revives the economy, it turns the tide on climate change, and importantly, it makes wars for oil obsolete, which, as you may know, deprives us of more than half of our discretionary national budget. We have spent $6 trillion on 2 wars alone since 2001, that is Afghanistan and Iraq. $6 trillion comes down to $50,000 per American household by the time we have paid the health care for our wounded soldiers. That also means about 50%, not quite, just under 50% of your income taxes are also going to pay for these wars for oil, which have essentially brought us failed states, mass refugee migrations, and worse terrorist threats. So these wars are not winning, they're actually making us less secure, not more secure. This is why we argue for putting half of our military dollars now into true security here at home, creating things like the Green New Deal. One last point. This is how we pay for the Green New Deal, even without asking Wall Street, for example, to pay a sales tax, which is another option. Why should the most profitable industry in the economy not pay a sales tax when everybody else pays a sales tax? So that is one source of cash if needed, but we can also fund the Green New Deal through offsets in the obsolete military, making these wars for oil obsolete. and also through the health benefits, which are immediately, as we begin to scale back on fossil fuels. We call for 0% fossil fuels by 2030, not because we are putting people out of work, rather we are putting people back to work and transitioning people into this renewable energy economy. Studies show, as well as real-world experience, that by eliminating fossil fuel pollution, which is to say cutting back on this huge aspect of environmental racism as well, by doing the right thing, we also get so much healthier that our savings on healthcare alone are enough to pay the cost of the energy transition. And one last point, which is that we spend $3 trillion a year now on what's not a healthcare system but a sick care system. The Green New Deal establishes the foundation of a healthy community across the nations with healthy food, healthy transportation that dovetails with safe bike paths and safe sidewalks so we can actually use muscle power, have the right to recreation as a form of transportation to get to transit hubs, as well as by eliminating pollution. So this is a win-win-win for our health, our economy, the climate, and for peace and security internationally.